All right, so imagine with me just for a minute that it's January and you open up your credit card statement and it has a zero balance. That's because you took care of all of your Christmas spending in cash. How cool would that feel, right? Well, I'm Lacey Bussey, and I'm the creator of Feeling Financially Free, and that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. All right? I'm going to teach you how to beat the stress of the January credit card bill by doing 3 really small steps that add up to big savings. All right? You ready? Let's do it. So, those 3 steps, as you guys know, I love to keep these videos actionable, okay? So you can actually take my steps that I give you and implement them into your life so that you can become feeling financially free, okay? So what you can do is after you, or actually during this video, or after you listen to it, you can go to laceybussey.com/one download. And if you go there, I have a free downloadable PDF that you can print, and it walks you through these 3 steps that I'm going to cover in this episode. Okay, so it's going to be super helpful to actually put your own numbers into these calculations, and that way you can have an action plan to beat that January credit card bill stress, right? Okay, so here we go again. That was laceybussey.com/one download. Okay, so LACEYBUSSE. All right, so let's get into it. Step number 1 is to figure out how much you spent last year. Okay, when you're figuring that out though, I always just think of Christmas spending as gifts, right? Like that's the first thing that just comes to my mind. But there's sneaky little expenses when it comes to Christmas as well. There's food and there's travel in addition to those gifts. Okay, so I think a lot of times when we want to fix something, right, we kind of just jump in and let's fix it. But we have to back up and kind of identify the problem to begin with. And I'm not saying that Christmas spending is a problem, but what I am saying is that our first step has to be figuring out how much we spent last year. Okay, that way we'll have a number of a goal to get to for this year so that you can just pay for everything for Christmas with cash. Okay? Step number 2 is to figure out how much time you have between today and the time that you want to start shopping for Christmas. Okay? So, if you're watching this on the day that I actually upload it, which I know a lot of you will be watching it 6 months from now, but we have 48 weeks until Christmas Day, okay? But the majority of your holiday spending happens like the month before Christmas Day, right? You're buying those gifts, you have your travel expenses, and you got to bring a dish to pass to all the different family functions and everything like that. So you have to buy all that food. That all happens before Christmas, right? So instead of figuring that we have 48 weeks to save, let's knock off 4 weeks, okay? That brings us to the end of November, and that would be 44 weeks. So just to give you some quick examples, say you would set aside $10 every week. Put it in an envelope, put it in a separate savings account, put it somewhere where you're not going to spend it, okay? You're just going to save it for Christmas. And by the time the end of November comes, you're going to have $440. Like, how cool is that, right? And if that's not enough when you're looking at last year's spending, you can always increase it. So say $20 a week, okay? That's honestly, for most people, that's not a whole lot. And by the end of November, you're gonna have $880. Like, how cool is that, right? The key is to start early enough with your savings so that you don't have to take care of it in such large chunks, okay? The earlier you start, the smaller that dollar amount can be that you put away periodically, okay? Another way to look at it, still in step number 2, which is where we are figuring out our time frame, is instead of weeks, it might actually be a lot easier to wrap your head around pay periods, okay? So say you get paid every other week, you've got 22 pay periods until the end of November, you're gonna put away $20, let's say, every pay period. That's $440, okay? So we're kind of coming up with that 440 time and time again, right? But in that free download, I actually outline all of these steps and you can plug your numbers in for that calculation, okay? Step number 3 is to actually do the calculation and adjust. Now, what I mean by this is that when you calculate out, I spent $1,000 last Christmas, I have 4 weeks to save, and that means that I need to save $250 every single week so that I can pay for Christmas in cash because maybe you waited a little too long or you didn't catch this video until, right before Christmas. If that happens, do your calculation, okay? Just figure it out and then adjust from there. What I mean by adjusting is that you have a lot more control over your money than you might think, okay? You have control over 2 things, right? Your spending and your income. So if it's not feeling doable, you can always decrease your spending, which I have my own thoughts as far as spending on Christmas gifts and birthday gifts and everything like that. That's for a different episode, but all in all, spoiler alert, I love spending time with people as opposed to actually spending money on stuff, and it's not just me being cheap. I really feel like we just get so much more out of memories that we make together rather than just collecting more crap in our house, right? On the flip side of that, you've got the decreased spending, but you can also increase your income. For a lot of people, it feels like, okay, Lacey, how am I gonna do that? I'll get into it a lot more in videos to come, okay? I really will, but for now, just remember that even if that number that you calculate in step number 3 feels really daunting and I have no idea how I'm gonna do that, don't worry, okay? You have control over it and it's all good. Okay, so let's summarize, right? We've got step number 1, look at your spending. Figure out how much you spent last year on Christmas, including gifts, food, and travel, okay? Step number 2, look at your time frame. Figure out how much time you have between now and the end of November, whether that be in weeks or in pay periods. Step number 3, take your total that you spent last year on Christmas and divide it by your number of weeks or your number of pay periods that you have until the end of November. That will give you the dollar amount that you need in order to pay for Christmas in cash, okay? Set it aside, be diligent about it, and be disciplined about it that is solely for Christmas, okay? No stealing it for anything else. All right, so if you found this helpful, consider subscribing, and that way you'll get notified every time I post a new tip or trick. As of right now, I'm going to be posting once a week, and I love, Financial Fridays. So it's going to be every Friday, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are in the comments. And as always, if you have questions, just reach out to me, okay? Talk to you guys soon. Bye.